work. How's everybody doing this fine, wonderful sunshine, bright sunshine? You're going to be an absolute, good feeling day today. I think it's supposed to get up high to 68 degrees today, and it's supposed to be real good compared to the cold weather we've been having in the past. Let me clear out my throat here. Had a little scratchily in my throat there. Ooh. All right. Now back at normalcy and stuff. And today, unfortunately, I won't be able to go to the gym today because I have to drive almost 3 hours to help out somewhere else. So that's where I'm en route today, going ahead and get on the interstate and start traveling down that way, because it's a heck of a trek, and I gotta get there before a certain time because I gotta help out these folks that are I just gotta help them out. That's what we do. We help each other out, and that's what we gotta do. So that means I've got plenty of time to discuss and ponder things all in my head because why not? Right? Why not? And one of the things that has been brought to my attention, and something that look at that sunshine coming straight through all that. It's about to clear up here in a second. And clear. I tell you what, that is the most annoying type of sunlight ever, is when you're driving and you turn down the road and it's blaring in your face, and regardless of whatever sunglasses you're wearing or anything, it is just blinding. All right, and it's even worse if there was precipitation the night before, and then it clears up right before the sunrise, and it's glaring off the bottom of the road and directly from the sun, and you're like getting just sun blasted, and you're like, what's in front of me? That sort of thinking going on. But yeah, if you guys get up early in the mornings, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. That blasting sun that's just like, whoo, that is right in the face, it is right in the eye. Good God Almighty, gotta avoid all that. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm still sort of waking up here. My nose is still a little, I wouldn't say a little stuffy, it's just, throat's still a little dry. I know coffee ain't the best for it. See, look, here it is. I wonder if it's going to happen when I get on this next road coming up. It shouldn't. The angle is going to be slightly different. But yeah, something that's been brought to my attention, and it's something that's controversial, something that people want to talk. People find it weird to talk about because it's a weird type of subject because it varies from people to people to people. Now, I don't even know how to really start getting into this type of conversation because it's such a weird thing to talk about. It's okay, all right. What is the difference? Let me just pose it as a question. What is the difference between being big and being fat? Okay? What is the difference between being big and being fat? Now think about this. What is the difference between being big and being fat? Now, I believe it's mainly perception. I believe it's mainly perception. Perception of what's big and what's fat, right? Now, to me, I can perceive if somebody's just big naturally, they're just a heavy-set person, they're just big, but they work out and they take care of themselves, they diet, and they're just naturally big, and I'm pretty fairly certain that I can determine if somebody's just fucking fat. Okay? Now this comes from years of being skinny. Yes, I've always been skinny, full transparency. I've just always been a skinny guy. The heaviest I ever got up to was about 190, and I absolutely hated it. I bulked up to 190, and I absolutely hated it, and said, this ain't the size for me. I don't like this size, so I went back. I'm trying to go back down to my working weight of 165, right around there. But what is the difference between big and fat? Well, like I said, it's all about perception. Now, for instance, a football player, nice size football player, weighs 6'4", whatever, weighs like 250 pounds plus, easy, right? And I don't know like statistics for average size for football players and stuff like that, but when you look at a football player, normal clothing, without pads or anything like that, or the tight-fitting shirts or anything like that, normal clothing, loose clothing and stuff, you look at that individual, you're still gonna think that motherfucker's big and not fat. Okay? Now you look at an average Joe who doesn't work out, that's 6'4", 240 pounds, wearing the same type of clothing, you're automatically gonna know that that dude's just fucking fat. Okay? Because the look and demeanor are two different things. Typically when you're working out and you're big and you're healthy and you're strong, you carry yourself in a different demeanor than those who are the same size as you and not confident with their body. And it's all about confidence, really. It is all about confidence. Rolled back shoulders, puffed out chest. It's all about confidence with it. And it's crazy how that type of thinking, how in general the type of thinking when it comes to perceived notion of physical health and what the perceived notion of what people should look like, etc., because basically what brought this up is that I was reading up on some things, and obviously when you're bored by yourself, you start going down some weird rabbit holes, right? I went down this weird rabbit hole, listening to different podcasts about it, different YouTube clips about it, and it basically turned into something like it came into like basically fit and fat shaming. You're shaming people who are fit, you're shaming people who are fat, and it's like the different perceived notions on both of those. And it's like I was listening to both sides of the argument. I was listening to the fit people argue about it. I was listening to the fat people argue about it. And then I was listening to the big people argue about it. And then I was listening to the skinny people argue about it. And it's just a weird perceived notion. It doesn't seem like... Well, my thing is, and it comes to a general consensus. It all comes to a general consensus. Is that, from my understanding, is that it is all dependent on two things: the size, how big you are, right? The size of your body. And it's all dependent on two things. One is your diet. That's going to play a big role into how your body's going to look and how your body is going to see. And another thing is genetics. And I can attest to this, that genetics varies from person to person, even if they are siblings. And I can attest to this because I am the oldest of three brothers. I'm the oldest. I have two younger brothers. I said that weirdly. I have two younger brothers, right? And we all have different body shapes, okay? We all have some vastly different body shapes. My middle brother, when he's the same size, he's about the same height as me, right around the same height as me. When he's not working out, and he's doing some weird things right now, he can put on weight really quickly, and he can drop weight super quickly. Okay? He can put on weight super fast, but he can also drop weight like a son of a gun. There was one time here recently during the last summer, is that I looked at him and was like, that's a little too skinny. It's like I can understand wanting to be healthy and stuff, but I looked at him and was like, that's a little too skinny. I mean, it is. He was. But his body type allows for that type of, he can grow exponentially, and he can grow through different size real quickly. And the way he looks when he's bulked up and, lifting and stuff is vastly different from the way I look when I'm bulked up and lifting. Now, the littlest brother, when he was working out and working out being a beast, he's like 6'2". He is much taller than us. I'm the smallest out of my brothers, and I'm the oldest. And our littlest brother, our youngest brother, is not the littlest brother. Okay? He is a naturally big motherfucker. And when he was working out, lifting and stuff, I could have swore to Christ that this dude could have done, easily could have been playing football in like a linebacker position. He could have brought some hurt, right? Now, he doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't work out anymore and stuff, but he's still a bigger guy naturally. But I consider him to be on the fatter side of it. I wouldn't consider him to be a beast, but I would consider him to be, a little overweight. But like I said, if he ever got into the notion of wanting to take care of his health, and in a different sense. I mean, he is getting better at taking care of his health. But what I mean is, if he ever got into the notion of really diving down into it, as much as I do, because I'm a little bit of a freak from it. If he does the same workouts as me, follows the same diet plan as me, I guarantee you he would be fucking manhandling weight that I struggle with like a beast. And I'm not saying that as a joke or as an insult to, and I fully accept things like that, it's like, I will never be like that, it's like, he can carry a natural 220, 230 easy, and still look like a fucking sexy motherfucker. If I carry 190, I feel chunky, and I look, and in my opinion, I look disgusting. Okay, but I fully accept that I may not be able to push that much weight, but my body type is different, and I understand my body type better than most people, right? And obviously it involves the type of exercising you're doing. For instance, I'm a little bit of a lankier individual, right? And so that means I'm able to do cardio type exercises a little bit better than, let's say, my youngest brother, who is much bigger than me. Even though he's taller than me and his weight is more disproportioned, I would still be able to do more cardio. I would be able to do cardio in that sense a little bit better than he can. However, it doesn't mean he can't do it. It just means it's not his strong suit. Okay? And it's the same with our middle brother. He could probably do cardio like a motherfucker. He just doesn't like doing cardio at all, which I can fully feel for him, because I hate doing cardio too. However, he does cardio-based exercises that work for him, and he's gotten some phenomenal results over the past few weeks from doing it. Some phenomenal results. Something that works for him, something that he can sustain and easily do. Now, the reason why I'm doing all this, the reason why I'm saying this, is that you have to fully understand that your body type is not going to be the same as to because this is where it all came down on. This is what it all came down on, is the perceived notion of what a woman should look like and what a sexy man should look like. Okay, it all came down to that, right? It all seemed like this is where they were always arguing about it, because what does a good man look like, and what does a sexy woman look like? What does a sexy man look like? And typically, when you're looking at, let's say, a sexy man, they got the broad shoulders, Dorito shaped. This is how Hollywood perceives it. Broad shoulders, Dorito shaped. That sort of look. The big superhero look, if you will. That look. All right. And people get disheartened when they're like, well, I can't get like that. Now, I fully understand that I have a different base than everybody else, and I fully understand that, and I'm not so stupid, I'm not crazy enough to believe that what that look is the standard for all. I fully understand that is not the standard for all, because I have a close friend of mine who I consider to be big. He works out and he pushes weight like a motherfucker, and he doesn't have like the veins, the veins popping out, the rocking six pack, that sort of notion. But he's a pretty stout dude, he's strong. I mean, it's the same with, like, if you look at the strongmen, the guys who do the world's strongest men competition and stuff like that. They are not dudes that look like what you see in Hollywood movies. They are dudes who are big, and they can easily rip your damn head off. Big, that sort of big. I mean, you could, like, Google, YouTube some of the world's strongest men and be like, these guys have a different level of fitness, a different mindset as to what fitness is and where should it lead you to. And it's the same for everybody. My thing is that you have to fully understand that your perceived notion of what fitness looks like may not be the right perceived notion for you, and that's fully okay. Now look at it from a different standpoint. Now what I always want to do, what my goal is fitness wise, is to, here lately I've been really driving down into trying to get into a certain percentage of body fat and looking disgustingly shredded. Okay, I want to get disgustingly shredded. That's my goal. Okay, now I fully understand that I might not be able to push more weight because I'm going to be dropping weight. I fully understand that it's going to be different. My body's already screamed at me some days for not eating what it wants to fucking eat. It is screamed at me. I've paid the price for it sometimes too. My stomach sometimes just hurts like hell when I do eat. And what my thoughts is as to what I want to look like is I want to look basically close to what like a Greek god looked like, Now, that's a weird goal. That is a weird goal and a weird thought process, right? Now, you have to understand that I know my body type, and I know very well that I could possibly achieve that. If not, I could possibly go to the Bruce Lee, okay? And I will be perfectly fine with that as well, right? So, shaming people. So you have these people that are shaming people. One instance was, it's like I don't really shame on fat people. Okay, I really don't shame on fat people. Quite frankly, I don't really care enough to shame on fat people. Okay, it's their life, their willpower. They can do whatever they want. They can't just. I don't want to talk about, that sort of thing with them. As long as they don't say, woe is me, I can't do it because of this. As long as they don't make excuses and they just flat out say, hey, I'm just fat because I'm just fat. I'm fine with that. I am not going to shame fat people and say that it's a shame that fat people exist. It is what it is. Even in ancient times, there was fat people. I mean, you look at Buddha. Buddha was a fat person. I mean, duh. And there's been fat people throughout history, And to shame them as somebody who is physically fit, it just seems counterintuitive. You know what I mean? It seems a little bit counterintuitive. Now, don't get me wrong. There needs to be a form of tough love. You need to sometimes rip the Band-Aid off and just be like, all right, you're fucking fat, okay? And your health is going to be adversely affected. You are going to have tons of health problems, tons of things go wrong if you don't start losing this weight. And they know this. They know this full well. Bigger people, fatter people do know this. Don't think they don't know this, okay? Now, typically, I don't hang around, people that are fatter. That's just cold hard truth. I typically don't hang around people that are like that because people tend to flock to people who are similar to them, and I typically have tended to flock to people who are more physically fit, you know, and of that nature. So that's just me, though. So we get down to, you know, the shaming of these people. Now, I was like, okay, well, I mean, fatty, you know, that whole cliche of, oh, fatty need a Butterfinger, fatty need a cupcake, you know, that sort of thing. It's been going on forever. I've heard about this when I was a kid and stuff. You know, I heard about it, I'm like, okay, it's just whatever, right? And then I started reading up on something else, a fit shaming. I'm like, okay, this is unique. This is different. I've never heard of, you know, fit shaming. And it's basically berating people who are fit because they are at an unrealistic standard for these unfit people. That's funny. That is super funny, in my opinion, because it's not unrealistic, because it's a very real person. And what brought this up is like there was a bunch of people, I guess, like in Britain, who were like that said you can't show these fit people because that's misleading and stuff on your advertisement, yada yada yada. And I just thought it was funny. You know, it's super funny how people like this are arguing about it, right? People like this are getting so passionate about it, but yet they would go watch a movie on, let's say they go watch a movie where they idolize, you know, they have the sexy scene with the chick or the sexy scene with the dude, you know, coming out of the beach, or you know, showing up in their swimsuit or something of that nature, right? And it's like everybody's like, damn, for both sides, okay? And it's just crazy how that is set up the way that is, because it's like you're like, what now? Because these people are arguing that like these advertisements and stuff are making it seem like, you know, setting an unrealistic standard when they're willing to watch those type of things and think that's okay. It's just very hypocritical, in my opinion. Very, very, very hypocritical. But it's honestly super funny because they say it's unrealistic, and apparently it's not, because it's right there in front of you. Now, it's probably because they fully don't understand that, you know, that super shredded, you know, 4% body fat type deal and all this other stuff, regardless of what body type you have, unless you have that weird disease to where your body eats, I can't remember what weird disease that was. It's actually a very dangerous disease to have, or disorder to have. I think it's a disorder to have, to where your body literally consumes body fat at a rate that's so exponential that you may only have like 2% body fat, and that's dangerous. That is extremely dangerous health-wise. Okay, not having a little bit of body fat is extremely dangerous. And you know, those people who drop all that weight to get super shredded for, you know, 4%, 3% body fat, that is super dangerous. You know, and it takes a lot of work to get down to that. You know, it takes a lot of work to get down to that. A lot of just hating yourself, pretty much. Now, they can do it. The more they do it, the more easier it gets, yada yada yada. But there's no need to shame these people. There's no need to shame the fat people, okay? Because nobody's making excuses. Honestly, the only thing you shouldn't do is make excuses. Now, typically, the fatter people are going to be the ones making excuses. Fair enough, let's just do that. Fit people are not going to typically make excuses, but they do make excuses. I am sorry, but they do make excuses. Fit people do make excuses. They complain a lot about them doing their diet, about doing all this other stuff, because it is just, sometimes it becomes a pain in the ass. Sometimes it is like just a shit show for it, you know? a very interesting type dynamic and concept if you think about it as a whole, because you got all these people who are, now you got the American Health Standards Association. They have like these numbers as to what is the healthy weight for your height, right? What is healthy weight for your height? Makes sense, right? I hate how they have that standard so much. I really do. Now, I can fall within that standard pretty easy because I'm naturally skinny. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a naturally lanky person, so I can fall into that. I can fall into the healthy weight pretty easy. Now, there are people who are stockier than me. That some people that like for instance, my middle brother. He has a very similar type body to me. A little different, but a little different in the way he can pack on and lose weight. But he has a very similar type body. About the same height and stuff. And at one point, the doctors told him he was almost at the obese level. And I just found that just shocking because, in my opinion, he was healthy because he was lifting weights, he was eating, he was doing everything he needed to do right. He wasn't eating junk. And I just found that shit shocking. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, they were like, you're almost obese. And I'm like, that's dumb. So I really don't have, good thoughts on the American Health Standard because it is completely stupid, in my opinion, on weights and stuff. But hey, you do you, right? I have no idea what I really was talking about. I just wanted to talk about some stuff. I mean, I just found it fascinating reading up and learning about these different things. Learning about how I miss this wave apparently because I'm stuck in my own little bubble in this side of the world. Not really. I mean, I just ignore things like that typically. It just never comes to my attention. But what happened? I don't understand why people would want to shame fit people and why people would want to shame fat people. I mean, I do understand why you want to shame fat people because it's easier to do, don't get me wrong. And it's also easier to shame, it's pretty easy to shame fit people. And it's like for instance, I remember a few years ago, it's like I was working out and stuff. I was perfect. I was still in shape. I'm still in shape. And we were at the lake, and I made a joke about this dude that was across the cove. I'm like, look at that ball. Look at that fucking sack of inflated bullshit muscles. That sort of deal. And this is coming from somebody who's physically fit, just, basically looks very similar to this motherfucker too. And everybody just laughed because it was just something funny. But it's easy, I can see how it is easy to inflate people. Now, where this became a problem, in my opinion, is when I was looking up, when I was reading up, fit shaming, fat shaming, and reading up on it, and it's when these so-called celebrities, for instance, I think it was Adele. Yeah, Adele. I didn't know. First off, I didn't even know what Adele looked like. Alright, the only thing I know about Adele is that one song of hers that I really just strongly would not just hate listening to. But there was a song, she apparently, like I said, I didn't know what she even looked like beforehand. Apparently, she was a big girl. I'm like, okay, whatever. She's a singer, so okay. And it's like when she was a big girl, she got all this praise. It's like how beautiful is her voice despite being her so big. And for some odd reason, I don't know why she decided to do it. She decided to get healthy, which is always a good thing, right? She got super healthy, super healthy. And then they showed up, and then she did like a picture or photo shoot or something about her new body and stuff. She looks good. She looks very healthy, right? And fans of her were shaming I don't understand why you are berating somebody who decided to suddenly take better care of themselves, suddenly, wanted to change something in their life. And she's a singer. Okay, she's a singer. What the fuck is her losing weight? Is that really going to change her vocal cords? No, it really isn't. In fact, as a singer, being more healthy and being able to, move around and do things a lot more means she may be able to actually go out and do more shows. As a fan, you should be thrilled that she's fully taking care of herself, to live healthier and live better, with the potential of her actually being able to do more shows. Because let's face it, unhealthy people are not going to be able to handle stress loads of touring country singing and stuff. Healthier people are. That's just a fact. And people were just shaming her. Now, I went down a rabbit hole where it's like, where celebrities suddenly started getting to shape and stuff like that, or losing weight and stuff. And it seemed like there was a very common thread of, there was a small group of fans that were shaming these celebrities for, getting into shape or being healthy, etc., etc. And most of these fans are fat. I'll just flat out say most of those fans are just fat, or if it's a skinny person, or if it went from a skinny individual to a bulked up superhero look individual. It was the skinny people making fun of them. It's like, there's no way you can do that with natural things. There's no way. You get paid to do this, yada yada yada, etc., etc. They're shaming these people. It just flabbergasted me. It just really just flabbergasted me in that sense, because as a somebody who works out a lot, I see a lot of people come and go from the gym. I see a lot of people come and go from the gym. I know my gym members, all right? I know who they are, and I know the people who aren't going to stick with it, and I know the people who've been there at a different size, different weight, looked vastly different, stuck with it for a long period, and now they look vastly different. And I know the hard work that goes into it, all right? I just know the hard work that goes into it. And hard work goes into both being fit and fat. I'm sorry, you are not born. You're born bigger. Don't get me wrong. You may be born bigger than most kids. All right, that's natural given, because there's just some kids who are just naturally born bigger, right? And then they naturally put on weight differently at a different rate. They're just naturally bigger people. But being fat takes work, okay? It takes a lot of neglect, a lot of, just hating your body and not watching what you eat. It takes a lot. Being fat just does not happen overnight. And just like being fit does not happen overnight. I'm sorry that there's no magical pill, there's no magical protein shake that you can drink, there's no super secret Facebook, water that you can drink that just dissolves fat. There's nothing like that. I'm sorry, there's just nothing like that. It takes work, it takes dedication, and it takes some struggling on both ends of the spectrum. And it's just crazy. It really just is crazy. I mean, I know big people, all right, and they're one, and I feel for them, because they're one like incident away from not being able to work out or anything like that. Because if you ever got like injured and stuff, or you're sick or something like that, and it sets you back so far, I can understand the need to just say, fuck it, I want to eat just terrible, or I just need something to eat, etc., etc., and it's easier to get this, yada yada yada. And I feel for the bigger people, because they're working hard to not be considered fat, right? They're working hard to not be considered fat. They're working harder than the skinnier people to not be considered fat, in my opinion. And some of these people are just being shamed for, trying to work hard like that. And it's absolutely crazy. video is running on a little bit longer than what I was intending, which is a-okay, because like I said, I got a long drive. Like I said at the beginning, I had a long drive at the beginning. But if you guys would, give me your guys' thoughts on what fat shaming is, what fit shaming is, and give me your guys' thoughts about it. I want to know what your opinions are and how you handle such things if you're a big person, a fat person, or a fit person. So give me your guys' thoughts about it, and I'll holler at you guys on the next video. And if you guys would, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, work hard. Peace.